Hi, this is Mr. Evans. This is the first on a short series of videos that looks at the different methods a business can use to increase the amount of innovation that they engage in. And there are 4 different methods that we're going to look at over the next couple of videos. So these are all ways in which an organisation can become more innovative. So we defined innovation as the process of coming up with new ideas for products or processes, and there are a number of ways an organisation can encourage foster innovation within their workforce. So the first of these that we're going to look at is Kaizen, or Kaizen. It's a management philosophy that involves the whole workforce in making small, consistent changes to improve the quality of products or processes. It's a Japanese word and comes from a whole kind of philosophy of Japanese production that includes lean production, the focus on quality, total quality management, and so it's kind of part of that lean production method of production that we looked at back in the AS operations section. And it's a Japanese word, kai meaning change and zen meaning good. So Kaizen is really an approach to how organisations manage change. And the traditional Western approach in Western industry to managing change was this. You would have your factory running at the same systems, the same processes, etc. And then the management team would come up with a really good innovation. They'd redesign the production process, and there would be huge change, and the factory would completely change, and the production process would change, and then that was it. And then we'd continue along our way until the next big change. It's called step change. Big changes in the production process, and the point was the management, would consider what to do, and then implement this big change, and the organisation would change, and hopefully would improve. Kaizen is a very different way of managing change, and the change is for continuous. The idea is to implement a more steady system of change. So the organisation is consistently innovating and changing, and rather than having massive, huge changes, at one point in time, we're having lots of consistent little changes that continually improve the production process. It's often translated in English as continuous improvement. So what does Kaizen or continuous improvement involve? Remember, this is a way that we're trying to foster creativity, innovation into our business. So what does it involve? Well, first of all, we're going to need to have regular staff meetings. So there needs to be really good communication between the management and the workforce. Okay, if we're going to implement these lots of little changes, and the point is that the workers are actually encouraged to put forward their ideas for innovation. The Western kind of philosophy, the traditional Western philosophy in manufacturing, was that the managers knew the organisation best. They were kind of the brains of the organisation, if you will. They did the thinking, and the workers were the hands of the organisation. They did the putting stuff together, but they didn't really have to think. Kaizen, continuous improvement, involves actually asking the workers to come up with the ideas for innovation. The point is that they are seen as the experts in the production process. They're doing the production day in, day out. They're seeing all of the little potential things that could be improved that maybe management are missing. So we meet regularly, perhaps every day. I worked for a company before I went into teaching that had daily meetings where workers were encouraged to put forward their what was happening with different clients and so on and so forth, and the ideas were kind of put forward, and we make small consistent changes. The managers are supposed to be saying, okay, that's a really good idea, I didn't think of that, or I didn't know that, and we're making lots of consistent changes to the production process so that it continually improves. It requires team working to be successful, because these ideas need to be implemented across the organisation. It's going to involve genuine empowerment of workers, so workers genuinely feel that they are empowered to make decisions to continually improve the organisation. And it's going to involve creating a culture of listening to the suggestions of workers. So lots of organisations that have tried to implement Kaizen haven't done it particularly well, because it involves changing culture and really empowering workers so that they have some decision to implement these decisions that they're making. And we're moving away from a system of management, moving away from a management-centred approach. It's all very easy to say this, but actually if you're a manager who's used to making decisions, and suddenly you're being asked to make get ideas from your workers and actually listen to them, then that could be quite difficult to do. It's going to require also potentially quite substantial training costs to ensure that workers are able to do what we're asking them to do. Again, if we're coming from this traditional kind of organisation, maybe workers aren't used to being asked to put forward their ideas. Maybe they don't want to, or maybe they don't feel confident in doing so, and they're going to need some training to help them do that. So what are the benefits of Kaizen? So the workers are involved in the day-to-day production of the products, and they tend to be able to spot problems before managers spot them. So these problems can be solved before they become a major issue. It should improve the motivation of the workforce, because they feel that they're making a real difference, and they feel that their ideas are listened to, and they feel a sense of empowerment that should help improve their motivation. It should reduce wastage and production costs, because if we're continually improving the production line, if there's a particular process that is wasting time, or one that could be streamlined, then by implementing a change, then it should help us save money. Small changes are going to require less capital investment than that huge reorganisation that we talked about, where maybe the factory comes offline for a few days or even a few weeks while we totally redesign the factory. If we're doing lots and lots of small changes, it's less expensive to do that, and maybe there's less need for that big kind of reorganisation. And small changes tend to be easier to implement. Overall, the benefits of continuous improvement, Kaizen, tend to be that the workers feel more engaged. They're the experts. They're involved in the production process, and if you can successfully launch it, then the products, processes within the business should improve, and so should the motivation of the workforce. However, some workers might resist the change, and some managers may resist the change as well, because the managers don't want to lose power, and maybe the workers don't feel confident, or don't particularly want to be using their brains at work. Maybe they just they're quite happy. Maybe they're part-time workers, or maybe they're students who are doing the work for a bit of extra income, and they're really not that interested in contributing. Some managers might actually ignore the suggestions, which undermines the whole system. Right, if we're trying to implement this, we really need to listen to what workers are saying and show them that we're willing to implement their ideas. The daily meetings that Kaizen often involves are sometimes called quality circles. So it's called a quality circle when the organisation has its daily meeting, as my company did. But that involves talking, which has lost production time. So we used to, I was working in a commercial call centre, and we used to literally come off the phones for 10 or 15 minutes. So that was lost time in terms of answering the phones for this company. And some ideas that your staff come up with may not work. I mean, this is a problem with innovation. Not every idea is going to work. So Kaizen, continuous improvement, is a method of implementing innovation that involves getting the workforce involved and contributing, because they're going to have good ideas that will improve your organisation.